Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there, welcome back.
Welcome back, guys. This was a Patreon exclusive from yesterday. As you can see by the title, this one is a tough subject. It's a very, very tough subject. I think a lot of people are not ready, willing, or able, unfortunately, to face the reality of what's been going on the planet. And sometimes they'll flee from it or do that la la la, I can't hear you thing, or just simply, no, it can't be true. What's really happening, can't be true. It simply is something that they can't accept.
Well, and everyone has a particular calling, and it might not be their time to wake up to this, but all of us that are supposed to wake up to it need to me, really be on board with it and help others, because we emit that frequency of, we don't want any more illusion. We do not want any more deceit. The deceit is something that I absolutely cannot stand from anywhere. It actually hurts my energy field when I feel it. And it bothers me so much, to such a high degree. I think that's why I'm obsessed, probably, I don't know, with getting the truth out. And when I feel something that is not true, and sometimes, honestly, I get really frustrated if I can't prove it, because I feel it. It's just not anything I have to think about. It's just something that's beating up my energy field. And all I can do is say, that's not true. Sometimes. Other times we can put it right out there and show people, see, that's not true. And I think you guys know where I'm coming from.
Yes, and I liked Cindy said, you know what, we're the slayers of the sacred cow, and that's what we're here to do in so many ways, because it's by these paradigms that are created on the planet that people sometimes cannot see the forest for the trees. Here we see Lakeshore Drive, this is over New Orleans, is at the moment okay. It is okay. It was a rough night in some areas. There are many without power. Again, this area is one of the most hurricane prone in the United States for sure. It's lucky that it wasn't any bigger, but at the same time, you have people surprised by the fact that it did strengthen and make landfall as a Category 2 to the west, a little bit southwest of New Orleans, and then it made its track basically over and up right through kind of the heart of Mississippi. Here you see an incredible rescue with seconds to spare. A Good Samaritan rescued a man who had drove into the floodwaters, and the vehicle was being submerged. This is, so dangerous. Never approach and go try to make things in these types of situations, and we've been saying that since 2017 when the channel came out. Again, I look at it like all this started to go completely bonkers really with that first eclipse. But eclipses will happen, and I can't tell you how many times now since the channel started 7 years ago, we've shown people with kayaks and canoes getting around on streets that are usually very dry. And yet you can use a boat in case of emergency. We do have a pair of kayaks that we could use in case of dire emergency. Oh man, here you have 3 boats that just kind of got broken free and were drifting downriver, colliding into each other. Again, this Louisiana, especially when you're down south there, it's all water everywhere. And it can make for, great fishing. Absolutely. A lot of people come to this area to do just that, to charter boats and go out and fish. And, yet at the same time, we have to be aware of the dangers of these storms, especially in these times. Again, it did intensify to Category 2. To me, the track and the way it went looked a little and felt a little bit unusual. I know Into Thin Air was, again, showing on his channel some unusual signals that he was, I think, taking to be steering mechanisms. None of this, I know, surprises any of you at this point in time, unless you're new to the channel. So a surprise powerhouse of a storm kind of coming from nowhere. Yeah, but this is exactly what we have in these times. And New Orleans flooding way more than expected. I was going to show you guys the Bourbon Street cam, but it's down. I do find it interesting to look at the live cams from many different locations on Earth. That makes me think about some people that had whole channels that were watching live cams, like up in Alaska, looking at the sun and the solar phenomenon. Again, our friends that are flat earthers out there, yes, there is distortion, as what we've gotten is that the Earth is actually about 4 times as large as they tell us. So it's much bigger than what we're told. Basically Antarctica is not down at the bottom. It's not what it seems. And so that gives you these perceptions. Like a lot of the flat earthers will base their observations and their conclusion on mathematic formulas that show that the ground should slope more than it really does. And yet again, the Earth is much larger than it really is, than we're told, I should say. The Earth is much larger than we're told. And we're also, we ourselves, where we're located, is really kind of up towards, I guess, what you would call the North Polar region. So when you do look at flight paths, and that's another topic, that's another kind of giveaway that something is really unusual, because you'll find that there's no flight paths that go across really Antarctica. In fact, it's mostly a no-fly zone. That part is very, very true. And the flight paths that planes take are kind of unusual to the layperson. So yes, there is a lot of distortion out there, and yes, they are blocking the sun. This is why I feel that there's references to Dyson spheres, like right there in front of the UN, and also on the Vatican. This is also just showing some flooding that we haven't seen since Katrina. Meanwhile, too, the arson story of things. As Steve Malloy here is saying, arson, not global warming, started California's line fire, which has been burning. When it came down to it, it was just like all sorts of, like a parrot chirping, and then everybody else is chirping the same thing. When I look back at some of the fires that were started, and all you heard out there from the Page Hills was global warming, global warming. Global warming.
They got their lines down. They know what they need to say. Some people are more, some people are better at that than others. But the point is, they're reading from their cue card, and they're doing what they do, and isn't it becoming so much more obvious now? I mean, it's so clear when you see them reading from their cue cards. And you see the people, they just shake their heads because they know. And there are more and more and more of us out there. So that's very encouraging. I know at one point we were feeling kind of like a little bit downtrodden, because it's like, gosh, are we making a difference or not? Because you go through these ups and downs when you do these YouTube videos. It can be very up and down. And at some points you're like, I don't know, am I really making a difference? And then we saw something on mainstream where they were harping away and they were parroting what they're supposed to parrot. But then you saw 400 people, real people, not bot accounts, real people saying, oh, this is BS and we know the truth, and on and on and on. And they're just really sticking together. And I don't know how these mainstream people can stand up in the face of everyone knowing, and then how can they go home and look at themselves in the mirror, these mainstream reporters on the news, but they keep doing it. So there's definitely some kind of a separation between us and them, and it's getting wider. And those who do report on mainstream, I think if they do end up retiring or quitting, that's a very good sign of an awakening. And if they're not, are they a clone? I don't know. I'm wondering.
Well, and the thing was, too, they had switched from one narrative and then started to automatically, everybody, parrot the other narratives, right? So, I mean, we're talking people that were doctors, medical doctors and scientists that were all about the health field and the medical field. All of a sudden, they're out there going, global warming. It's like, wait, it's instantaneous. It's so obvious that, it's like, okay, team, now we're going to push global warming on the humans. Simon says, this is like, the reality is, as you see here, California man arrested. Well, same thing up in Canada. Well, same thing all over the place. Do you know how many arrests there's been? There's been tons of arrests because, all these fires are not starting because of global warming. They're starting because they're being lit intentionally as part of a bigger plan. It's not, and I really don't believe it's a coincidence that these deodorants use stuff that's carcinogenic. And you have the lymph nodes that get clogged and blocked and cause, ultimately what the doctors will say is you have cancer. We got to go in and remove these lymph nodes and we'll see how it goes. Hopefully it won't spread everywhere. And, they're not going to say, by the way, nice smelling axe you got there, but that's probably what did it to you, or as part along with your diet and all sorts of other things. Again, going back to 2012, 99% of breast cancer samples analyzed contained parabens, which is a common carcinogen found in deodorants. So they also contain aluminum often, and now they're adding aluminum into relish, and many of you guys noticed that too. I remember one brand of chicken that I used to buy for the dogs that all of a sudden I saw it had carrageenan in it, and it never had carrageenan in it. This going back a few years before we're able to source everything from locals and just really avoid the stores. So we do, again, buy from a family farm that is local, and a lot of what we end up giving the dogs is hearts, and I know it might be gross to some of you. Cindy can't do it. Tongues, beef tongues as well. I have to cut that one up because it does look kind of gross. But again, it's sourced locally. We know these people. They're a good family. They've gotten to be friends. And this is exactly the type of thing that I think everybody should try to look for. And, you have those discussions. The first discussion we had was, how do you feel about ouchies for animals? So, getting to know those that are going to cut out all those middlemen and processing. Again, Walmart and the clubs, a lot of them will irradiate, and it is a regular normal practice to irradiate fruits and vegetables coming in. The purpose, they say, is to, again, wipe out parasites. Irradiate, your fruits and your veggies coming in from out of country. So, like with watermelons, I got to go pick one, I think. Hopefully everything is okay with the rains. But again, watermelons, some of them were spongy, some of them were rubbery. There's been so much going on with our food supply, completely on purpose. And this is the bottom line. It is on purpose. And, again, it'll be like, well, it's to make it last longer, it's toxic overload. This is why people are dropping like flies from cancers. It's toxic, and it's totally the way everything is processed. It's the food, it's the medical system, it's the programs that are now being declassified. I saw somebody else talking about the fact that wait a minute, did I hear that person right? They just went from on the mainstream news, going from saying there's no such thing as chemtrails to, yeah, of course, we've been spraying since the 40s. Yeah, absolutely. You know, and choosing your favorite politician is like slaves choosing their favorite flavor of slave master.
Yes, their favorite flavor of slave master. I know Americans choosing their favorite politicians. There's really no such thing. There's no such thing as us being able to vote. And I know some people are still stuck in that paradigm, and this is where it comes into where we do the unpopular thing and we slay those sacred cows because people want to hold on to it so tightly because that's all they know, and there absolutely has to be a choice, and my vote matters, and that's what they push in the mainstream is like, your vote is important, you have a choice, and they hand you this empowerment when in reality the decision has been made long before we place that vote. And they do a really, really good job. They do a great job as far as getting people to feel like, they're making a difference. And it makes me sad because I look at it, here's how I look at it now from my awakening and my journey. If I vote, I'm supporting that system. That period. If I engage in the game, I am supporting the game. So I choose not to support the game, and I choose to support Team Cindy. I choose to support Team Mike and Cindy, Team Humanity. These are the ones I'm voting for, and that's the energy that I'm building up and I'm trying to make stronger is all of us who want our freedom. So that's where I place my energy and place my vote. Plants are not alternative medicine. They are the original. So I think it's really sad that they put the word alternative in there, and they've made chemicals the main medicine. Shouldn't chemicals have the word alternative? I think so. I think they place the words where they want the words to weaken a certain thing. Plants are very, very, very powerful. In fact, when you do get into plant medicine and when you start to understand natural medicine and holistic medicine, it becomes very, very important to know what you're doing, because there's certain things you can do that can really, really, really cause a problem and really make you sick. And people just don't know that. They look at plants and think, well, I can just take as much as I want. And in some cases, you can take plant medicine until you have the desired effect. But that's not in all cases. Some cases, if you take too much of the wrong thing, you could make yourself so sick because the plants are powerful. Also, another thing with plant medicine, if you're getting into that, I highly recommend that you plant your own medicine and gain a relationship with these plants. That's my dream. My dream is to have my own medicine wheel full of plant medicine, so I can speak to them, so I can sing to them, so I can send my energy into them. I could even program, if I'm working on somebody who's sick and who needs specific plant medicine, I can program that plant specifically for that person. And I know it sounds a little wacky and crazy, but it's all very, very doable, and it's very possible if you just set yourself up right. So they are here to help us. They're here to guide us. They're here to keep us company and talk to us. So definitely send energy into your plants. That's what we do here. We're always sending our plants energy. We want them to be intertwined with us. We want them to know that they're a part of our consciousness journey.
Yes, absolutely. And, this is, again, part of the bigger picture is that consciousness is everywhere. It's in everything. And, I've even seen some, wild posts showing evidence of past civilizations and stuff. And people will look at stuff and say, well, at one time this was alive, or this was the body of a giant and stuff. But everything is alive. That's the thing to realize. Everything is alive. It's all consciousness having a journey and exploration. And, this is in Colombia. A lot of mysteries down there in South America. Colombia, beautiful country, again. And, there's so many different tunnels. Colombia, I think of Peru right off the bat with a lot of entrances into the inner earth. When you really look at so many of these legends and myths that are based on fact. Things do get distorted over time. It's just fascinating to see. Our history is nothing like we're told. Nothing. It's nothing at all like we're told. And yeah, there are, cycles. I think, again, when you get to the realization that there's these 12,000 year cycles, and then you might look and think, well, that coincides with half of a yuga. You're starting down the path. You're starting down the path, but it's much deeper than that. And honestly, I can't explain how time changes in the yugas itself, but it does. And honestly, when I start going down that rabbit hole, it gets me this excited feeling that I can't quite comprehend, because it just lets me know how eternal we really are, and how we are much more in control of this journey than we think. And it's really just waiting for us to wake up and take charge. It really is. The things that we do learn that science hasn't distorted completely, such as the fact that everything that appears to not be yet is just waiting for somebody to make it to be. And I know Cindy gets exactly what I'm talking about.
Well, I mean, as far as eternal goes, we are, and we never cease to be. And your sense of self and your sense of who you are, that never goes away, ever. I mean, everything that has happened to you in this life that makes up you, that molds you, everything that has, you take a piece of pottery is such a good example. And, after it's been worked, and after it's been molded, and after it's been put through fire, and boy, that's the tough part. It becomes so beautiful, but it still is. It never forgets what shape it is and how it was shaped. And that's how we are. This was really, really cool, because it does look digital. And I was thinking, wow, real life Minecraft, where they are just literally putting things together in actual stone. There is nothing new under the sun. Everything has already been done over and over again. I think it's fun to look at our history and see that this digital look has been going on for quite some time. This is not our first rodeo with computers and digital things.
And you could look at it, and this would be an object that you could meditate on, because what do you see? In so many ways, I see stairways that lead to labyrinths and portals that lead to alternative realities. This is just my impression.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's a lot of fun. I see technology playing. I see somebody having fun. I see somebody really waving their magic wand and doing pretty much anything they want in the 3D and showing off and having a good time. And boy, they did good.
And, here, just to give you a little perspective, I was looking at this, and now I don't know if the person was referencing and saying these people must be giants or what, but, in reality, trying to make out if this is the same picture, different angle. I think that these are all obviously shorter, broken off, and so they were probably buried underground. And as the excavation goes on, you see more of what lies underneath. It makes me think of the heads at Easter Island. They're not just heads; they were entire bodies. The rest was just buried. And nobody thought to say, well, maybe there's a whole body under there. Yeah, of course. It's also fascinating to look at, and this is another picture with perspective. Our real history is completely buried, and these stories. People talk about the mudslides and the mud flood. I do think, again, there is technology in play that can induce this liquefaction. in areas, and it's such a truly great reset when they use that technology. This is from the Book of Wonders, published in 1552. According to the book, in 1533, right, flying dragons were seen in Bohemia and Vogtland, as well as in the region of Escher. They had crests on their heads and a snout like a pig. More than 400 dragons flew by every day for several days. Were these some sort of UFOs and ships? Or were they really dragons? Now, again, you'll get people on the other side saying dinosaurs didn't exist, but dragons are very real. And when we look at dinosaurs, they're actually dragons. I do think there's both. I mean, I've shared a photo with you that Cindy and I took, and I almost killed myself staring at this dragon's head, not looking at the ground in front of me. I almost dropped in a mine shaft that was like deep, hundreds of feet deep, and it was like captivating me, and I was just staring at it and couldn't really even let my eyes go to look where I was walking because it had fascinated me so much. I think there were dinosaurs. Again, what we got from the guides was that dinosaurs were in some ways pets, in other ways food, cattle, a resource for the reptilians. And actually, they actually used creatures like T-Rex and velociraptors to hunt humans as sport at times.
You know, I mean, the history that we have is always being rewritten, so it's best to go back and see and what is in the skies with these paintings. Obviously there was something very, very different going on in these times of castles on a hill and moats and dragons, and I very much believe in the dragons, and I also believe that what Mike felt, what he got caught up in the energy of the dragon. These things could energetically paralyze. These things could energetically do good, and they could do harm. They were much more than like fire-breathing animals. They could paralyze people. It's like I feel they have that from their pineal gland, that ability to hone in on a human and stop them from doing something, which made them very great protectors for other beings. And hence it was so popular to have a dragon and be able to have it on your side. And important because they really had a mastering of consciousness, and they could really throw their energy. And that's what Mike was feeling. He was totally caught up in that as we're walking toward this mine shaft that was probably 300 feet deep. We nearly killed ourselves because we were both feeling it. It's like that captivation of these dragons. They're absolutely amazing creatures.
It was birds.
Well, birds saved us because it was Zeke or Sassy scared the birds up out of the hole, and the birds came up, and that's what startled us and made us stop walking.
Yeah, Zeke did, and he was looking at us kind of like, wake up, you two idiots.
Yeah.
Just see where you're going. He was very concerned. He had a nose, ear, and eye for the paranormal, and he always took it seriously. So when there was something weird outside, it'd be like, go check it out, Zeke. He'd be like, These two, though, they won't let us get out the door first. They are always first out and after them. But Zeke was just the best travel companion. And I know a lot of you guys remember Zeke. Some of them want your soul to be screwed up because they can get it when you're dead. This is Whitley Strieber. Again, I spent a lot of time when I was a kid reading these type of books in the 70s that were talking about the UFO phenomenon, and I especially found it fascinating when you'd have these UFO sightings in certain areas, especially like around Yakima, Washington, the Pacific Northwest, and there would be a wave of UFO sightings and a wave of Bigfoot sightings at the same time. And that always was something that just fascinated the crap out of me. And, when I was a kid, I was intent on, I was going to buy a van or something, and I was going to go and spend like a year before going to college and just camp out and I'm going to find the truth. I mean, that was in my head since I was a little kid. I never ended up doing that. We ended up doing a lot of traveling later in life, exploring these areas. But what Whitley is really talking about is true. It's very, very true. Some of them, meaning the controllers and the entities that control the controllers, do want your soul to be screwed up, because they can get it when you're dead. They can capture. Again, I've shared the story of a family member, an extended family, by marriage member way back in the 80s that had passed on. This is a person that went through the Korean War, was shot, was also impacted by shrapnel, had to kill others in war, and was taken to be dead, laying there themselves. And they died of slow cancer, and it was brutal, and it was a Catholic service and a Catholic priest. And when the last rites were given, and I was there, and when he passed, I was there, and I could hear and feel the soul, and it was not good. I've seen so many people pass, and it be the most peaceful thing, gentle, easy. And this was not. This was torture, and this felt very much like, it reminded me, of some of the movies where you've seen these dark entities coming for a soul to grab it. That is a reality. That does happen when we're very, very traumatized and we're in a frequency that can be created by the atrocities of war. And this is why they want nonstop war on the planet. They're really trying to, again, they understand how the system works. They understand that you don't just stop when you leave the body. They can hook into us if we allow them to, and we don't have a strong spiritual practice, and we're not, realizing our eternal nature by nature, because we are eternal. They can hook you in and get you to reincarnate at a low frequency and come right back into a situation that the higher self might not really want to happen. This is exactly what they're trying to do. And also I'll share that we know of a particular individual that just passed on in the last month, and that soul is having a hard time. And that soul did do everything that was recommended to it, if you know what we're talking about. And I know you guys understand that. And we've seen this where those souls that have decided to follow all the recommendations that this dark matrix puts out there, when they get on the other side, often it's a much harder time to clear themselves and straighten themselves out so they can, progress naturally, which is, you do a life review. It's in the Bible. It says, there's once to die and then the judgment, but it doesn't tell you the judgment is yourself, making the decision. Do I want to come back and do this again? How do I want to do it? If it's such is the case, where do I want to do it? Do I want to wait 20 years, 50 years? Do I want to wait for, these other souls to incarnate so I could come in as their kid? And there's a lot to it, and there's an awful lot of planning that goes on the other side. And it's you that does the planning. You do the planning. There's nobody that's judging you. So yeah, it's you that makes the judgments. And then of course there's karma that we have to work with. And karma is the currency of the incarnation, so to speak.
Well, you go up when you're no longer in body. You go up and above the things that you have done, and you see things in a completely different way. So your perception is completely shifted when you're in the higher densities. And it's not like you look down on any of your decisions. You look and say, oh, okay, well, that's what I needed to do. You see the silver lining of things, and it is very difficult when we're in these bodies and we do not remember making these decisions or doing these things. But last night was quite disturbing, because I know I picked it out a couple years ago, as far as people that do all the things and they take the recommendations, And not only that, they take the medicine because all of this stuff is full of heavy metals and nanotech that you put in your body to try to heal it, that the others, the DRs give you to say, hey, this will make you feel better. This person that had passed put all of this stuff in their body, and this is really, it really bothered me last night. And this person was still feeling the pain. They were still feeling angst. And I didn't understand that, because when I've been out of body, all of that was gone. And it just sort of confirmed what I picked up a while ago, is that we really need to detox. We need these nanotechs out of our body. We need to be clean, to make a clean break as far as not getting stuck in this 3D realm. Because what I see is they are, with all the EMFs, with all the computers, the tablets, the phones, and the stuff that we put in our bodies that they give us, they say it's good for us to take, all of that is creating its own realm, and it's sticking the soul in a place where they still have access to it. It still feels pain. So that was definitely very, very bothersome, and I didn't like it, but I know I was being shown that for a reason. There's a reason for everything. There's absolutely purpose in everything, and I think it just goes to show the importance of, for me anyway, to just keep detoxing, because I mean, it comes from the sky, it's in the air we breathe, it's everywhere, and you have to consciously be getting it out of your body all the time.
Absolutely. And again, that's also part of recommending the mantras, because it automatically lifts you up. So, Escape from Springfield, Ohio. Escape from Springfield, Ohio. Oh, man. Look at this. Hey, downtown. Somebody's making an escape. They say there's terrible things happening in Springfield, Ohio. We must get out of here. Yeah, cats in Ohio right now, they're like, we got to be watching. We have to be on our tippy toes. Oh, yeah, it's scary times. It really is. It's you don't want to be part of the barbecue. It's nice when you get invited, but not when you are the main course. As you see, cats in Ohio. Oh my God, yeah, it's crazy. You can't make up the craziness of these times that we're in. They're training. They're getting ready. It is, after all, a zombie apocalypse in more ways than one. Now, some of these cats and dogs, they're on the same side. They're taking a side. It's pretty sad, the stories that are coming out. And yeah, they're choosing to stay in the system. I understand, but see, that's the thing. When we're pushed and there seems to be a clear alternative, people will jump for that one that's going to seem to be the logical choice. Now, again, we need we need real change. We need real change. Cats and dogs voting, probably would do a better job than what we've had so far. And, again, nature, it's interesting. What is the nature of, say, carnivores when we're talking a silver or golden age? Are they still going to be carnivores by nature, as you see? That was just pure happiness. That was I love you and miss you.
Oh, that is sweet. That's I do love you. I do miss you. It's been too long. I want my cuddles. And, that's just his nature. That's how he was raised. That's what he knows. That's his alternative instinct. And I do believe when we're in a different place, when we're in more of a 5D type of a realm, food is a non-issue. Food is a non-issue. So energies and animals can be together, and it's not any big deal. Right now you're seeing you're seeing leopards and deer hang out together on night cameras, and they look like they're walking home from putting on a show for humans. I mean, they're actually together. I've seen that. And there's no predator and prey. They're just kind of walking together. I was quite amazed. Different animals helping each other out. This is more of our 5D reality that we are headed to, and we are starting to make those changes. We are starting to make those separations, and people have made their decision, and it's now just a matter of following that path. And you have to, feel with the heart, and you trust it.
Yeah, again, there is creation, there is evolution, but again, Darwinian evolution is a control systems version of evolution, and that says survival of the fittest, eat or be eaten, and that's not the way into the higher realms. It's more just the opposite. It's the caring, it's the compassion, it's the understanding that you are part of something bigger. There is a oneness here, and it's up to us to open the doorway that leads to the higher densities, and that's through love and compassion.
Definitely love and compassion will get us a lot further than angst and pain and fear and all of those things. So we need to position ourselves so that we're not just avoiding things, but so we're processing them and putting them in their rightful place so that we can take steps forward.
Again, we invite everybody to join us over on Patreon, exclusive videos once or twice every week. And again, thank you guys for your support. Please do like, share, subscribe, and try to wake up as many as possible so we can shift the paradigm.
Source bless and namaste.
Namaste.